On today's show, what is YouTube thinking these days? Why Iron Man 2 may be underrated in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? What is Nintendo Labo? Did I say Labo or Labo? Say, what is Nintendo Labo? And could Chewbacca be the key to the Star Wars universe? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being back with us again on another great program. And of course, right alongside with me, he is the man, the myth, the legend behind Humanica Media. You got to check out all the great stuff that's going on today at humanicamedia.com. His podcasts, his reviews, his streaming, all that great stuff. It's Josh Peterson. What's going on, my friend?
What up, what up? Dude, I just finished playing Tomb Raider. Absolutely love it. And then I saw the trailer today. It's almost exactly like the game. So I'm super stoked. So I'm either going to go into that movie and walk out feeling amazed about it, or I'm going to just walk out hating everything about video games.
Well, it is another video game movie, and there's not a whole lot of good ones that are out there. So let's hope this outing by Alicia Vikander is going to be a good one. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because, as we've discussed this before, I've written about it before. Video games and movies just really have never coexisted very well at all. I'm hopeful for that, or maybe Uncharted when it finally comes to fruition on the big screen, or some other video game entity to change my mind and change my perception of how video games are perceived in Hollywood. But that's for another day. We got a great program lined up for you today. We've got a lot of great things on tap for you. We've got Christopher Tyler Baker coming up later. We've got Tyler Baker later in the show coming up with his thoughts on this weekend's AFC and NFC championship games. We've also got, coming up here in a bit, we've got in the Cosmic Crossfire, my good friend, director Rob McCallum from Rob McCallum Films. He's going to be talking some Star Wars. But first, Josh, I want to go ahead and say it is great. I'll tell you what, it's a great feeling to be back on the Podcast Radio Network, where we're at Friday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. But we've also picked up 3 more great channels in the interim as well. Want to say hello. Want to say a big hello to Croc Radio in Canada. Want to check them out if you're in the Canadian area and you really like Croc Radio like we do. You want to go ahead and check them out. We're going to be on Fridays and Mondays, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in that area. You want to check out crocradio.com. Good Talk Radio on the Cutting Edge Radio Network. We are back-to-back episodes of the Pop Culture Cosmos and PCC Multiverse. That comes up for them on Sundays, 9 to 11 Arizona time. And the Western Reserve Radio Broadcasting Company, we're going to be on there Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Just go to westernreserveradio.com. Check it out there. I'll tell you what. And it's also on the Live 365 network. Josh, we got a lot of great things to talk about, but let's start off first with this. YouTube has made a lot of angry people over the past few days, including yours truly, and also, I know very much you as well. They recently made the decision to, they sent out notices this week informing those individuals who have YouTube channels who have not had 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months and 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't met that threshold within the past 12 months, hey, you're out as far as making money, at least as far as YouTube is concerned, as of February 2018. So if you don't get 1,000 subscribers or have 4,000 hours of watch time accumulated by that point in time, you're out, buddy, when it comes to making some money. This comes hot off the heels after the incident that YouTube sensation Logan Paul and the controversy in regarding to his ineptness when it comes to what he could put on the screen, which goes back to PewDiePie and his ineptness on what he thought he could say and put on his YouTube channel. It looks like, from my vantage point, and I have a feeling you're going to probably say pretty much the same thing, that it looks like these smaller entities that are out there are being punished because these advertisers are talking to YouTube and saying they don't want to be a part of a lot of this going on, and they don't want a lot of these YouTubers running wild.
Yeah, we're being punished for something that we didn't do. And at the end of the day, the people who are, these advertisers, their ads are still going on to, video makers who are making offensive content. They reach the mark of 4,000 hours per week, and they have over 1,000 subscribers, and people, their ads are still going on to videos that may or may not be offensive. It doesn't vet, offensive material as much as it cripples the small content maker trying to make money. It's completely ridiculous, and we're being punished. And the thing that I hate about this whole thing is that we're being punished because of Logan Paul, but YouTube and Google, they kicked him out, but they didn't say you can't ever come back. Like, they're very specific about the fact that, like, if he were to clean up his act, the door would still be open for him. So that is the thing that makes me the most upset. But there was, because like with the last year's NHL All-Star Conference, I made a few $100s off that, but now I won't make anything off of it. And my question is YouTube still going to place ads on my videos despite taking away my monetization tools? And if that's the fact, then I'm probably going to be removing my channel from YouTube, or I'm going to be closing it all as private and redirecting them all to my Patreon page.
And I don't blame you a bit for doing so. As someone who had over 150,000 views and has over 100 subscribers on his Game Source channel, it just seemed to me very frustrating, because anytime it's bad enough, let me put it this way. It's bad enough that I had so many individual bots that were out there, or so many individuals out there that were trying to go ahead and throw copyright claims. Most of them are, in my opinion, illegitimate, but they're trained. They've got bots. They know what to look for. They know what to spot out for something totally innocent, for something totally that is a video that has nothing to do with what is in their interest. I had to deal with that over the past few years, and it makes me sick, because there's been a lot of views and a lot of videos that I've had. In fact, my top rated video on the Game Source channel 2 years later got a copyright claim on it for an invalid reason. And that to me is just, in my opinion, of course, and that just to me it's just really sad that these small YouTube creators are continuously being punished by YouTube, Google, and other entities that are out there making the decision to try and make an about face and change. Make it about change. Well, where was I? Okay. It just makes me very upset that YouTube, Google, also as well, these Patreon. You talked about Patreon as well. They make these changes that really sets the internet ablaze and really sends a message to smaller creators or people just trying to get by and making a small amount, or not even just trying to even just do it for fun. That it just sends a message that we don't want you here, and you're not here to stay, and you trying to get bigger is something that's not in our agenda, or we're going to try and throw up as many roadblocks as we can as far as you trying to get more successful and gain more viewers. Yeah,
they're essentially cutting off our ability, and like our ability to grow. A lot of small YouTubers, they might not have the subscription base that a lot of like the PewDiePie, JonTron or whatever people have. But the little revenue that we do get from that stuff, we pump right back into producing things. So without that small bit of revenue, who knows how many content creators are going to be, disappearing, going offline. They're cutting off a potential revenue source for themselves. But like this affected a lot of people. This wasn't just like a small portion of the community. This was a whole lot of people were literally screwed over by this.
And there's no way to reciprocate in kind as far as being able to speak to someone at YouTube, because whenever a copyright claim or a grievance comes up that you feel that you have to make or fight against, you're just sending a blind message into Google or YouTube, and you're not even getting a response back in a timely fashion, or you don't even know if they're even acknowledging it at all. So that to me is very distressing. I've had to deal with as a YouTube channel owner for years now, but that it's their company, their way of doing things. We have to, at least for now, for those that are using us, a smaller, more, I should say, less frequent users of the YouTube consortium are just have to, make do with what we have and find alternate routes to either making money or generating some type of income or volume or audience from it, or just accept the fact that this is the way YouTube's going to be in the near future. What are your thoughts on YouTube and its decisions that are being made? In fact, this leads back into what Patreon did, and they had to do an about face. Do you see YouTube doing something similar because of the potential backlash that's obviously going to be, well, it's actually already coming about when it comes to YouTube? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Are you a small YouTube content creator out there? Are you being hindered by this? Are you being hampered by this decision that's being made? Once again, share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, like we said, we've got a great episode here for you today. We truly appreciate you stopping by and checking us out on all of our great networks, or if you're downloading us, we truly appreciate that as well. We've got Rob McCallum standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire. He's going to talk some amazing, he's going to talk, well, what at the time, what I thought was a really amazing possibility or fact that came out of, well, amazing rumor that has come out of the Star Wars Rumorville. So definitely want to wait and stay tuned for that. But first, we have from his Emoji Engine album on Bandcamp, which you can get today on Bandcamp. It's our good friend Warren Fernandez, and this is San Francisco, and this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And I'll tell you what, if you are looking for a mix of the Wizard of Oz and the Santa Claus, why, there must always be a Guy Fieri Super Geeky Playdate right around the corner. So check them out today. Super Geeky Playdate on our good one of our many great stations, the Gunny Geek Network. Speaking of Gunny Geek Network, you can download our shows at any point in time there also as well on Podchaser, the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, and so many other channels. Apple Podcasts, of course, subscribe to us there, or any of the different players that also take in all the great stuff that Apple iTunes and Apple Podcasts have. But Josh, I know you've got a great thing going on with Humanity Media, which you can catch all the great stuff while it's still there on YouTube, also as well, podcast.com, Podbean, and so many others. What's going on with your awesome content at Humanity Media?
Funny you asked that. A brand new episode of the Super BS Gamescast just dropped about an hour ago, so you can now check that out.
And didn't it drop on YouTube?
No, it didn't drop on YouTube. I don't know what's going to drop on YouTube now, except for my my potential income stream.
Exactly. Well, that's true. So that's true. But I know I know a Super BS Gamescast did drop recently on YouTube. That's what.
Yeah, that was a few days ago, I think. Yeah. So you can check that out. New What About This will drop on Monday. Inside Sports will be up tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's it, man. I'm pretty sure that's it. No, I'm pretty confident that's it.
Okay, fair enough. Indeed. There's still a lot going on, and you want to check out all the great stuff on humanicamedia.com or Humanica Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. So, Josh, I know you heard the latest news on what Nintendo's doing, and we talked about this a little bit ago. We talked about this in a recent episode where Nintendo is not resting on its laurels being the hottest selling console on the market, and possibly, and also the fastest selling console right now in the marketplace. What's going on with Nintendo when it comes to what they just announced, Nintendo Labo? Actually, I'll rephrase that. They just announced Nintendo Labo, which I guess if from all the videos that we saw already on Nintendo Labo, and it's coming out this spring, right around the corner, it is it's actually for the kids. A lot of it, a lot of us adults are going to play it too. It is, I guess, something you create out of cardboard that you fold together. You get it as a sheet, and then you fold it together and follow the instructions. Then you design it the way you want it, and then it interacts itself with the Switch to create a numerous array of things, whether it's a robot, whether it's a structure, whether it's whether it's a remote control toy or something of that nature. Just a lot of great things that seem to have opened the eyes of a lot of youngsters out there when it comes to the potential of Nintendo Switch. What are your thoughts on Nintendo Labo? Do you think it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to get behind, or do you think it's going to be something that's just you think it's just going to be something that's just like a messy cardboard box?
I think that a lot of people don't quite understand what it is yet. They don't get, like, I've been reading a lot of forums, and they're saying, you have the fanboys saying, "Oh, this is stupid. I'm just gonna, make my own out of cardboard or something." But what a lot of people don't get is that there's actual software attached to it. And we kind of talk about this on the Super BS Gamescast. It's cool. Like, you can make a piano. There's one where it's like you can make an RC car. Like, there's a lot of cool things, and it's one of those. It has the type of software that can be continuously updated, so you can keep making new things, new objects, and like some of them I hear, it takes like 2 hours to make. It's kind of like, what was that? Was it Lego Dimensions, where you could actually build something and then use it in the game?
Yes, like, that's correct.
That's what I'm seeing for Nintendo Labos. But the thing is, like, is it something, like, the question we should be asking is it one of those things like motion gaming, where it's cool at first and you like the novelty of it, but then you just get kind of worn out of it, or you get tired of it, or they stop offering support for it, and then you're basically stuck with this accessory that you can't do anything with? So I'd like to play with it. Yeah, I'd like to try it out. But who knows? Like, these types of things don't exactly have a good track record.
No, they don't. And as we know from Lego Dimensions, even Skylanders, obviously Disney Infinity, they really get popular at first, and they just go really in the toilet when it comes to sales after a short period of time. The novelty truly wears off really quick. Hey, fidget spinners, we were talking about that at this time, almost at this time last year, and it's already deader than a doornail. But when it comes to Nintendo Labo, when it comes to that, it just, I'd probably just say it's going to be able to get the kind of support, at least in the short term, because we see from Amiibo that Amiibo's still getting support on the various Nintendo platforms. So I could see it getting support, at least in the short term, with more kits, more projects being available. But I agree with you on that. At some point in time, I think the novelty will end. Remember Wii Fit? See how that, if you stop by one of our great members and our great associates, that would the great companies that we associate ourselves, and that's Retro City Games here in Las Vegas. If you go and check out their store, they've got a lot of great stuff. They've also probably got the world's leading supply of used Wii Fits. They've got stacked up on the side of a wall that is not going anywhere anytime soon. So could this be the next Wii Fit where everybody buys it, everybody likes it, but after one Christmas, it could be gone like the wind? I think Nintendo's probably going to give it a little bit better support because the Nintendo Switch is still less than 1 year old. It is still in its infancy as a console. I believe strongly that they will support it in the interim if sales dictate it. And I think anything relating to Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch is going to sell very well, at least at the outset and through at least one Christmas. So I think they're going to definitely support it with more modules, more sheets of cardboard, more projects, and more software, more things to do for it, at least till the end of the year. I see that happening. And right now, Nintendo's hot. They could pretty much throw out some cardboard. They could pretty much throw out some cardboard paper because, well, in this case, they are. But they could pretty much throw out anything out there because even the 2DS and the 3DS is still getting is having a revival in sales where they're selling very strongly. And those systems, you know how old they are. So if that's the case, Nintendo,
do you notice how less and less is coming out now, though? I was looking at this year's releases for the 3DS, and it seems like there's less and less games coming out for it. But I mean, who knows? It could stay alive because they're still making games for Vita. So, we'll see.
Well, I tell you, the reason why I say that is because most analysts have been seeing an uptick, at least in the holiday season, for 2DS and 3DS. And they were surprised that it actually is some of the strongest sales they've seen in a couple years from that system. So that might be telling you something, that there could be an extended life even for that aged console. But when it comes to Nintendo and Nintendo peripherals, they're always a hit and miss situation. But I think at least in the short term, Nintendo Labo is going to be at least a nice addition to the Nintendo Switch lineup, at least for youngsters out there looking to do more than just play some video games. What are your thoughts on Nintendo Labo? Are you excited for it as a Nintendo fan? Are you really looking forward to it? Do you have youngsters out there that are really interested in this and have already been asking you, please pre-order it, buy it? Is there a certain, are you interested in maybe the robot or the variety mix? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. When we come back, Tyler Baker is standing by. He is in our... Tyler Baker is standing by with a preview of this weekend's action, this weekend's championship games in the NFL. He is standing by just for that. And we're going to have a great talk and break it down with Minnesota facing off against Philadelphia and Jacksonville facing off against New England. Could Tom Brady be feeling the pressure? We'll see. We'll get Tyler's thoughts right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, I'll do this one. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse to close out the program. We truly appreciate you sticking with us as we close out the program. Josh, in our continuing look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we lead into February's Black Panther and May's Infinity War, next up on the list is Iron Man 2. First off, I want to get your thoughts on Iron Man 2, and then I'll share some thoughts on why Iron Man 2 is, maybe a movie you might not want to see, but it is truly important to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right. All right. So Iron Man 2, I liked the idea of Iron Man 2 You know, I liked the trailers and I liked the possibilities that it held.
I know Marvel did too at the time.
Yeah, but I didn't like the execution. I didn't like how you had all that build up and there's so much going on. Like the robot fights were cool, like the drones, that was a very cool scene, but you know, they Whiplash was like they made it seem like you know, what's his name? What was the actor's name that played Justin Hammer? They made Justin Hammer seem like he was gonna like be this big bad guy, and they didn't really have a proper
You mean
chance.
Sam Rockwell playing
Sam Rockwell, yeah. And they didn't, as Justin Hammer, they didn't give, you know, they added him in there. They didn't really give Whiplash a chance to develop into the villain he could have been. And then they just, you know, they're too lazy to really end that. So they just had that big showdown in the end. And yes, you know, the robot scene was cool. The finale wasn't. It was just a weird, like, you know, it lasted less than 2 minutes. Yes, it is very important. It kind of set up the whole Avengers Initiative thing, and it gave you, let you see Samuel L. Jackson, and like gave you a history of Tony Stark's dad and what he discovered and all that. And they like kind of had the little Captain America and Iron Man lead, or not Iron Man, but Thor lead-ins. But yeah, I just wasn't. It wasn't the movie that I was expecting. You know, not to say that it's a movie that I would skip out on. I mean, I would still watch it, but it's just, it's not like, it's not the Iron, because they developed in the first one, they turned Tony Stark into this, you know, they kind of made him this like kind of comedic type character. But then in Iron Man 2, they kind of flipped the switch, just like they did Iron Man 3. Tony Stark, very funny. Captain America Civil War, Tony Stark's a complete dick. So it was just, the contrast was not what I wanted from an Iron Man film. What are your thoughts?
Could you say Sam Rockwell one more time?
Sam Rockwell.
Thank you. Well, I will tell you this. For me, it is one of the worst of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And early on, there were some stinkers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's not, you know, let's not mince words on that. There were some really bad movies, and Iron Man 2 is one of them. Obviously, still a very successful movie as far as what it did ultimately at the box office. But critically, it really wasn't received that well. Mickey Rourke's performance and his wavering in and out Russian accent didn't really help matters. But I will say this. It is still very important to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for two reasons. A, obviously, it introduced us to the awesome character known as Black Widow, which my girls are forever grateful for. They really appreciate her. They look up to Black Widow as far as their hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and truly appreciate her being part of it. And obviously, that's where we got to see Scarlett Johansson start in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And without that, without Iron Man 2, there wouldn't be any Black Widow, you know, getting involved and whatnot. And just seeing her develop over the course of time, even from that early stage on, has been a great thing to see as far as the development of her character, to the point now where, as we talked about recently, she may be getting her own standalone movie, which is long overdue. And number two for me, well, as we saw from Spider-Man Homecoming and what the lead-in for that was, it looks like there is the birth of Peter Parker's character in the Spider-Man there's the birth of Peter Parker being introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with his character being saved by Tony Stark. Although the timelines are, I don't know, man. When you really look at the timelines, they're all messed up because of Spider-Man Homecoming. When you talk about him being so young in the movie at that point in time to what he is now in high school, I don't know. And because we're only talking about 2010 when Iron Man 2 came out. So it stretches the lengths of believability. But then again, when you watch Spider-Man Homecoming and you see the 7 years later thrown up on the screen, for anybody who pays attention to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that throws you off completely. So little errors aside, obviously, since it does, and it has been confirmed that it does introduce the Peter Parker character, that obviously has to make Iron Man 2 a very integral part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right, but it wasn't until Spider-Man came out. So it was, it's one of those movies that they keep, I guess, adding relevance to, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it's
also Don Cheadle's War Machine.
Right. So it's an anchor of sorts. It's a launching pad, I guess. Like it was, you could call it the second launch of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But and like we talked about with Iron Man 1, everything in this universe sort of hinges on Tony Stark. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Tony Stark is no longer a part of that universe, if that ever comes.
Is it that time?
No, sorry, they're outside.
They get thirsty about this time. Well, I couldn't agree with you more on that, because it will be interesting to see, does the Marvel Cinematic Universe still hold the same kind of aura, still hold the same kind of spell on audiences once Tony Stark's character is gone? Even if Iron Man is replaced somehow with somebody else taking up the super suit, if Robert Downey Jr. is leaving the series, as he's pointed out on more than one occasion, and which will most likely happen probably with Infinity War 1 or 2, then it will be interesting to see indeed in the next Marvel phase if it still holds the same charm with the general audiences out there. Because like you said, it all ties to him. His charm, the way he's ingratiated himself with the fans out there, with the Tony Stark character. The whole Marvel Cinematic Universe seems to have been buoyed around him. And, even in Iron Man 2, he was still able to charm his way through the picture, no matter how bad it got. And obviously, if you want to watch it, just basically it's a Tony Stark show. And as long as you watch it for that, and also the infancy of Don Cheadle and his War Machine character, because Terrence Howard was removed after the original Iron Man, and then also as well Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow character, and the birth of Peter Parker, which was explained in the leading up to Spider-Man's Homecoming, then that definitely does make the Iron Man 2 movie a very integral part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What are your thoughts on Iron Man 2? Do you think it's a stinker like we do, but it's still very important to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Do you think it's a really good movie? Or do you think it's a movie that just doesn't need to exist at all, any point in time in the timeline in the MCU? Or do you, like us, still have a hard time believing that's still Peter Parker right there in the middle of the movie? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. So Josh, we've come to another end of a great episode. I want to thank Rob McCallum and, of course, Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast. They both appreciate both of them coming on to the show. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
I think we're covered. It's Sunday. We're going to be breaking down Sony's the year Sony has ahead of them. Correct? That's
correct. Yeah, because we didn't have enough time today, we are going to be breaking down PlayStation's 2018 coming up. What we expect from PlayStation in 2018. We're going to break that down on the Sunday episode. Plus, also as well, we're going to be taking care of the next movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this is really going to be a sore subject for both Josh and I, because Josh and I have always never seen eye to eye on this, and that's Thor. That's coming up in the next episode as well.
We got some homework for you guys. Research Dutch angles, and then we'll talk. We'll talk.
Definitely, indeed. And there's still a lot going on this weekend. We're also going to talk about that, including also as well, possibly talking about the new Monster Hunter, and that being the first big game release of the year We're going to talk about that and even so much more on our Monday episode. So you want to catch that on Podcast Radio Network. Also as well, Croc Radio in Canada, Cutting Edge Radio Network, the Western Reserve Radio Broadcasting Network, and of course, all of our great downloading networks. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.